Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about how mortgage demand has jumped 28% in a week
Woohoo!
as interest rates drop to the lowest point in months now. Interest rates peaked back in October, and they've been tanking. Like they've gone down about 1%, which is huge.
Right. I mean, they had a meteoric rise, and they're coming down not quite at the same pace, but they're coming down pretty fast.
Okay, we're going to jump into data, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Mortgage rates are the lowest level since September, and that is bringing new demand into the mortgage market.
Right. So to give it perspective, just like I said, this mortgage rate was in September. It peaked at the end of October, so that's in about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then, it took us, all of November, all of December, a little bit of January. So it took about twice as long for it to come down here. So it took twice as long for them to come down as they did to go up. So theoretically, sometime at the end of this year, they might be much more reasonable than they've been the last few months.
The lowest estimate we saw was 4.5. I think that's too low, but I think we could be in the 5s.
I definitely think we're going to
by the spring when the home buying season.
Well, I don't know about spring, but I think at some point this year we're definitely going to be in the 5s.
Okay. The average contract interest rate for 30-year fixed mortgage decreased last week to 6.23% from 6.42%. Now we know this week that they were like 6.17. And we won't know till next week the average for the whole week because this is like a midweek number.
Well,
we got that from the new home builder video that we did. That was the new home builder rate was 6.17%.
Right. And then, of course, this is a short week because we've had the holiday, so we'll see how it all works out.
Yeah. First of all, what do the rates mean for demand? Like, what's this going to do to demand for purchasing?
Well, I think what we've seen is that demand has definitely picked up in the last couple of weeks, and with interest rates going lower, this is piquing people's interest. People who were waiting on the sidelines because interest rates were beyond what they found tolerable are looking again, and I think they're coming out and they're trying, I think, to some extent, to beat the rush. Because I think people understand that there is likely to be a rush in the spring, so they're trying to find something now before they have to compete with multiple offers. However, I think multiple offers are already here.
We already have them. So anecdotally, I'll read this one, then you can tell me the anecdotal information about multiple offers. Applications for a mortgage to purchase a home, which is different from a refi, increased 25% week to week, but were 35% lower than the same week 1 year ago. A couple things jump out. First of all, 25% week over week is huge, but 35% lower than a week last year. First of all, last year at this time, interest rates were much lower. Also, that was the hottest housing market ever. So you have the hottest housing market ever, the lowest interest rates basically ever. They're about a little over 3%, probably 3.2, 3.3% this time last year. And we're only 35% lower. We were told these interest rates would wipe out buyer demand. And if you take out the fact that we went from a hot year to a cool year, and interest rates have gone up and we're only 35% lower, then that's kind of interesting moving forward a couple of weeks.
It is. What I said before in a previous video is that this past weekend was Martin Luther King weekend, and it was just super busy. The open houses were really busy. Buyers were out looking. They were calling. We got multiple offers on property we have listed. Other agents that we're in touch with have also gotten multiple offers. So buyers are definitely coming back. And the buyers that are, I think, maybe more savvy understand that there will be a lot more demand this spring. So they may as well find something that they like now where they have maybe a little more leverage, and they're going to go ahead and purchase now, particularly with interest rates, having gone down basically a point since the height of the end of October.
Interesting, more anecdotal information. A friend is moving to town, buying a nice house in Summerlin. He called about a property. He said, "Hey, what do you know about this property?" So I reached out to the agent, and the agent said, "Oh, we went under contract today. I just haven't changed it in the MLS." And it's like, no, like, don't do this. Okay, this is going to be frustrating again. This is not supposed to happen. And this is anecdotal, because if you looked at like 5 properties, probably 4 of them would probably still be available in a week.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like, what's inventory is not increasing.
Right.
That's kind of the scary thing. And I mean scary from a, what's going to happen in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, and we've talked about this before, if you think of homes as items on a shelf, people are going to keep choosing the most attractive item on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
And everything else is going to still be on the shelf. So as the attractive homes get purchased, then what's left is kind of the leftovers that nobody else really wanted. So, but those homes will probably get picked up in the spring when things pick up across the market.
We also know that there are homes on the market that have, the number of expired listings is the highest it's been in 2 years, because you have people who have listed their homes. Mm-hmm. They added to that artificial number of homes on the market. Oh my God, inventory's climbing. But they just said, hey, I can't get my price, I'm taking it off. And we've noticed most of the people we've talked to, they're not coming back on the market, because we talked to them about be putting back on the market with us. Have any of our listings expired? When's the last time we had an expired listing? It's been 10 years?
More.
Okay. We haven't had a listing expire in 10 years. So we look sometimes at these listings, and sometimes they call us, and a lot of times they just, we're just not going to put it back on the market. So remember, some of these houses, when you see the number of homes on the market in Vegas, some of those are not really like, if the buyer and seller can't make an agreement, they're just going to disappear. Mm-hmm. It's not like, they're going to force to reduce their price. They're not forced to reduce their price.
No, unless people's circumstances are so dramatic that they have to sell. But that's very rare. I mean, that would be somebody maybe moving out of the area or having a significant family change, like a divorce or something like that. Most people are not going to have to sell. And remember, if they sell, what are they going to do? They're giving up that 3% mortgage to buy something else at 6%. Yeah. Most people are going to say, no, thank you.
Actually, what's interesting is if interest rates do go back down substantially, you may get the people who sell the house and buy the other house.
Yes.
And that may actually help the market. As agents, people like us who make money on all the sales, whether home prices go up or down, that's actually better for us, because there's a seller, there's a buyer, there's more sales to happen, there's more, and then it's good for you, the consumer, because if you're buying a place, you have more options to buy. Nobody wants to be in a market where there's no choice of inventory, because you get frustrated buyers who go, I really want to be in this area, but there's nothing for sale, so they feel like they have to settle.
Right. No one wants to settle, and certainly not when it comes to a home.
Okay. This is the last thing from the article. It is the most telling. We've been talking about this. This is the other side of the equation. We have mortgage rates, which affect demand. Mortgage rates are tanking, which means demand is starting to shoot up. So here's a quote. The market, however, is not seeing any surge in inventory. The number of active listings is 21% higher than it was a year ago, according to Redfin, a real estate brokerage. That's mostly because homes are now sitting on the market longer with far fewer sales. That's the homes that are never going to sell. They're just going to disappear off the market. That's why the inventory has been dropping. In Vegas, it's dropped 20%, because people are just letting their listing expire. They're not renewing it. Here's the magic thing. New listings of homes for sale are down 22% year over year. So remember how we had a shortage in the spring? Well, we have now 22% less homes coming on the market. This is nationally. So you can say, oh, well, in my market, but we're just talking about national numbers. They're down 22%. So what's going to happen if we don't get more inventory and interest rates go down? It's just going to sort of be this sort of,
deja vu, yes.
Deja vu, disequilibrium, unhealthy thing with housing where, we all like stability. We've had stability really probably 2011 to 2020, we had stability in housing.
Right.
It was every year it went up 4.8%, every single year. And then all of a sudden it got super crazy.
Right. Volatility is unpleasant for all sides. It's unpleasant for buyers, for sellers. It's unpleasant for real estate professionals, because it's very difficult for us to satisfy demand when we have multiple buyers chasing the same property.
Okay. I'll say the last thing, and then you can wrap up the video.
Okay.
The people who waited, I completely understand why they waited to buy. We've never said there was a now's the time to buy. Certainly, I would not have wanted to be working with a buyer last March or April or May, because we were working with the sellers. Selling. Last year was our biggest year in a long time. And every house sold very quickly. But it's actually frustrating for us when we have 5 or 6 people trying to get a house and have to listen to the agents and their stories about how this is the 8th house and please they need the house. And our seller's just like, I just need to net the most money, right? So we don't want to see that. We want to see more of an equilibrium. It works better for everybody if there's plenty of houses or a reasonable number of houses available. There's a reasonable number of qualified buyers. We have this even marketplace. The year has been nuts, and high interest rates did a thing to it. But that's like, we have turned the corner in the last really few weeks. We turned a corner sharper than we thought. We didn't think it would return this quickly.
Right. And we understand that the Fed is meeting soon, and they're going to be raising interest rates again. And so we're not living in a vacuum. We do understand that, but we don't expect that mortgage rates will be really impacted very much, because the mortgage community already understands that there will be a couple more interest rate hikes before it's all done, and this is all already baked into the pie, so to speak. So if you thought the video was interesting, if it was entertaining, if you learned something, please leave us a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, share the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.